Good afternoon, my name is Dan Bell, and this afternoon I want to talk about putting the market demand and market supply curves together to determine an equilibrium price and quantity. Up until this point, if you've watched my last two videos, I showed the market supply curve, the last one, and the market demand curve prior to that. But still, we don't know what the price is. The market demand and market supply curve just show the preferences. They show what the market demand curve show what an individual demander or buyer, what he's willing and he's able, based upon his or her income, to buy at various prices. The market supply curve showed all the willingness of able producers, what they're willing to put on the markets at all available prices. But no one knows what the price is yet. And the way we get to the price is we have to put demand and supply together to see both sides of the same coin. So let's go ahead and just do that. So what we do, if we're put Q, quantity per week, and put we've been talking about corn all along. So we developed the market supply curve. That shows all the producers that are producing corn, what they're willing to put on the market. Notice at lower price, they're not going to put a lot on the market. Higher price, they'll put a lot more on the market. And then the other side of the coin, we saw the individual farmers that were needing the corn to feed their cattle. Higher price, they're not going to put more, they're not going to buy much. Lower price, they're going to be buying a lot more. Well, where do you get the price? Where supply and demand intersect. This is called the equilibrium price, and we'll label this PE, equilibrium price, and this would be the QE, the equilibrium quantity. So on this market for corn, this would be the amount of corn that would be bought and sold, QE, and PE would be the price that the buyer would pay and the producer would accept. All parties are happy at this price, okay, at PE, and QE is the amount of the good on the market. So this is equilibrium price and quantity. This is also where supply equals demand. You may see supply and demand are equal, or you may see quantity supply is equal to quantity demanded at this intersection where they intersect. So we have at PE, you'll have quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. And that is whatever this amount is here. Or you may see supply is equal to demand. That's where the two curves intersect. So that's the equilibrium quantity. A couple points I want to make on this graph. And I want to talk about what happens when there's a price above and below equilibrium. And I'm going to briefly just explain that. Let's take a look if the price is above equilibrium. Let's call it this P in red. P, we'll call it P3. But notice at P3, at that price, the quantity demanded is 0 to here. I'll put QD. At P3, that's a pretty good price. Producers will be willing to put out, on that market, if that price is there, they'll be willing to put out QS. Wait a second. Buyers want this much. Producers want to put out that much. It looks like producers want to put out this much more than what buyers want. Buyers at P3 just want this quantity. Producers want to put out that quantity. This right here will be an excess supply. So here above equilibrium, we have excess supply, or we have a surplus. So look, the raisers of corn can scratch their heads and say, well, you know what? We got two options. We can keep the corn in our silo, let it rot. Maybe the government will feed, take it for help other nations, or maybe people in the U.S. But one thing for sure is if we keep it in a silo, it's either going to rot or maybe the government will buy, but maybe they won't. We don't know. But so why don't we lower price? So as the producer decides to lower price, again, when price changes, we have movements along the curve. If price, we'd have a decrease in our quantity supply, but as price goes down, okay, what's happening here? Price goes down to a little bit, we have an increase in quantity demanded. Quantity demand is increased, quantity supply is decreasing, this surplus is getting less. So again, as the price goes down, quantity demand increases, some of the producers, they cut back on production, this surplus gets less, so the market has forces which drive the price back to equilibrium. So left alone, the market should go back to equilibrium. So that's the beauty of the markets. Alternatively, let me show you what happens if the price is below equilibrium. Let me clean my graph up. Okay, here is equilibrium price. So what if we have a price below equilibrium? Let's call it right here, the price is P11. Well, at P11 is a pretty low price, and it cuts, see where it cuts the supply curve? It cuts it right here. So producers are only willing at that low price, they're like, we're not going to put a lot of product on the market at low prices. We'll put QS. Well, at a low price, you know how we are as consumers. And these producers, these buyers of the corn to feed their cattle, they're more than willing at that low price. They would purchase, if they could get that, they would purchase QD. They would go from this amount. Okay, that's a P11. You cut your demand curve, come down. So they would want a lot of that corn at low prices. Wait a second, suppliers are only going to produce this amount and put on the market. So this represents an excess demand. There's an excess demand here at that low price, and it's also a shortage. Okay? Whereas before we had a surplus, now we have a shortage. The price is too low. Well, what happens is producers know there's an excess demand or a shortage of that good, so they start raising the price. Let's raise it just a little bit. As price goes up, quantity supply. Again, price movements cause quantity movements. Increase in price, quantity supply goes up, but some of the buyers, as the higher price, some of the buyers drop out of the market. So quantity demanded goes down. We learned an increase in price, quantity demanded goes down. So the producers keep increasing price, some buyers drop out, they don't buy as much, in other words, they still buy them, but not as much. And producers are putting more on the market, where finally that alleviates this excess demand is being alleviated, it's smaller and smaller, where equilibrium price is established once again. So again, they'll reach a point where at a price and quantity, both buyers and suppliers of the corn are happy. So that's how our efficient markets work in theory.